So, a very warm welcome, Mahesh. My name is Deepshikha, and I'm absolutely delighted on behalf of the Asia Dialogues Forum to welcome you today here in Hyderabad.
Thank you.
Mahesh, you are a legend, a living legend, and a veteran of not just the auto sector, but the innovation anchor for the entire country. 30 years in automotive innovation, technology, and more. Over to you.
See, thanks for having me here. I think it's an important dialogue, an important time period which India is transforming almost every day. So what I see in automobile, let's say segment into 90s, 2000 and maybe 2010. When we were in 90s, I think India was having very less tech. When we were fresh came into automobile, we were more passionate about doing something, adapting and learning from the West. At that time, the auto industry was always in turbulence during that time, whether we'll survive, not survive, because Ford came in, many other came in. Homegrown players like Mahindra, Tata and others were building up technology. It was a struggle during the 90s to have tech people working on it. Fortunately, I was in the R&D in the cusp of the transformation, and I had a lot of opportunity to work on tech in automobiles, do it in India. I have 2 patents, particularly in embedded system while I did mechanical engineering.
Wow.
From it. But all came from innovation which is accessible to Indian consumers. Indian consumers are very sensitive to value. I would not say the price, I would say to the value. The value, if they see, they will buy even a vehicle which is of high price. That accessible innovation development is a very key aspects in innovation what we do. Then in 2000, homegrown players like Mahindra and others have built up products. I was part of the Scorpio program. We launched the first common rail SUV in India, the Scorpio CRDI. That gave me a lot of knowledge of customers, bringing into link to technology and what they are looking for and how do we do it. And the big learning for me came from XUV 500 project, which is a grounds up SUV developed from scratch for a global market, including 5-star crash rating and many more. So during that time, we felt that there is an important need for academy, industry, and the policymakers to align together what we are going to do and which direction going to do. Policymakers were looking at emission reductions. Industry was looking at what I would say investments which will give profitable returns. And there were a lot of engineering colleges spurring between 2000 and 2010. So there were young talent available, aspirational talent. We need guide them, mentor them, coach them and get into what I would say productive, innovative thinking process into that. So there were a lot of youngsters. I was given 50 GETs at that time to build up the XUV 500. All of them turned out to be very curious, what I would say, very curious to learn, and they need a guide and mentor at that time. So it was a very enriching journey, I would say, during that process. When I moved in after 2010 into EV industry was at a very budding stage in India, and very bold move like Mahindra did that E2O, the lithium-ion car first, and then there were a lot of experiments going on. It was not going into scale, but a lot of innovation was happening and the market was getting studied and things like that. Then, to be frank, when I went to EV industry, initially my thought was to build up a supercar or things like that in 2015. But I realized, I think EV, again, that accessible innovation topic, which makes sense more into 3-wheelers, commercial vehicles, because they run a lot and they save a lot, and hence it makes economic sense. In a way, when I was making the first lithium-ion 3-wheeler Mahindra Trio, everybody said that the driver will not understand the technology, so it's going to be a big failure. Then I said, why would driver understand the technology? He should just forget it and drive the vehicle and make more money. And engineers should more talk about technology, make it robust, reliable, and hence it needs to be buy it and forget it per vehicle. And it turned out to be that way. Today Mahindra is number 1 in the 3-wheeler segment because the Mahindra Trio made a big impact in the market. A lot of women drivers came in, and then it turned around. Similarly, if you look at the segment which I'm in today, the electric buses makes a lot of sense. This is where the policymakers, the industry and the consumers gain a lot. If you look at India, Indian state transport undertaking which are running the buses are not making enough money to buy new technology, new buses to serve the customers. Public transport is a stressed asset as of now in India, and it needs some transformation. And that transformation happens through electric vehicles. Incidentally, electric vehicles gives a lot of comfort to the customers. It reduces a lot of pain in the STU's finances, I would say. How this happened? Because we worked closely with Niti Aayog, and then we worked with the central government, state governments, and brought in a new tendering process in which electric buses will not be owned by the STUs, but they will pay per kilometer. So basically, the pay per kilometer e-mass concept, which is available across the world, is adapted into India in a very accessible innovation way that it serves the public well. So the state transport undertaking don't want to invest huge money. Sorry. They are looking at collecting the money and paying the operators. And then we brought in a lot of operators who will run this today. But when we started, most of the OEMs, we took the responsibility of running the operations in electric technology, and then it gave a confidence. Today, about 17,000 electric vehicles are in India, I would say, in the park, and government want to adapt almost every bus into electric, provided we have enough financing, who will finance the buses, and production capacity is there to serve that well. So I would say the electric bus success is not just the technology success, but the innovation around the financing model, innovation around the e-mass model, which is pay per kilometer model, and then public adapting to it, government adapting to it. So a lot of things have happened, flown in. I strongly believe the three-wheeler segment has adopted EV more than 50% now. While there are a lot of talks about two-wheelers and cars, I strongly believe the commercial vehicle segment will be the one which will turn around the life of the people. The government policies today with energy security and the challenges we have in importing oil, the country will be benefited more because most of the vehicle, almost 40% of the diesel consumed is through the commercial vehicles. Yeah. So and hence we need to look at how to reduce that portion of it and then do it. So that's by and large, I would say, you call me a legend. I think a legend is a word which is end, but I still learn. A lot of learning happens, and this technology, the youngsters and the new innovative model makes me really learn every day, and I still learn, and there is a lot more to learn.
You talked about the government, and it's a much larger initiative and with a much larger impact than just the private operators, right? Or just which can be led by the private operators. I incidentally met Minister Gadkari last week, and today I met Minister Garu, and now I'm getting the honor of sitting together with you. So a lot of good work happening, but at the same time, there's still gaps, right? We are, in terms of cost, you talked about the financial angle, massive competition. China is leaps ahead for fair and unfair advantages. What, if we talk particularly about talent and the appetite to build that talent, what do you think that are the gaps still in India that India needs to work towards?
I think one of the gaps I can find, while we are progressing well, I think we can do much better if these gaps are filled up. One other thing is, there is to be a huge, what I would say, synergy between academia and industry, which is right now, it's being done in a very scattered way. It is not looked at pointed way. Look at availability of engineers in terms of embedded systems, software, in terms of all that. Electric vehicles are almost computer on wheels. There is no much, everything is drive-by-wire and almost softwares, and we take about 5 terabytes of data every day. We have about 500 million kilometers run so far, and we have enormous data. What do you do with the data? Are we doing enough? Even if you do 2% improvement in efficiency, that will lead to a substantial saving in operating cost, energy security, and so on. So we can do a lot. Now the gap is industry has so much to do, and we need to work with academia who will partner, train people, the apprenticeship program, the training program, internship program, and even joint projects. We need to look at joint projects between academia and industry through which the academia will participate in projects, learn through their participation, and then build up team over a period of time. Now, in other areas, of course, there is a scheme by the Prime Minister of India and Government of India giving apprenticeship incentives for the industry, but we have to go a long way. That is one area we need to look at. The second one is, I think there is a lot of like when IT came, everybody jumped into IT. When software came, everybody went into software. Today, AI is the business. Everybody wants to do AI. But nobody wants to applicate it in various sectors. So in transportation sector, we have to do a lot of AI. We can do a lot of things. We have cameras all around the public buses. We can do analytics of pattern, of traffic, time-based, and many more. I think those are all the areas we need to work with academia on this, and if government supports some of the programs, I think it is good, but too much depending on government doesn't make any sense. I think industry and academia need to take the lead on this to build the culture and team and bring up the talent in the country to work on here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And at the very last point, once again, thank you very much for being here. Your thoughts, I know you're yet to experience it, but your thoughts on the Asia Dialogues Forum and perhaps a few words for us.
I think I particularly came to Asia Dialogue Forums because the deep tech is cut across all industries. While I'm from the mobility sector, there is a lot more to learn from other sectors. And there are members from the government, from other industries, through which we can learn a lot. I think that's a very important thing, and these dialogues also kickstart a lot of new projects and thought process in this one, and I'm very pleased to be part of the Asia Dialogues Forum. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you very much. Such an honor, Mahesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.